Hey everyone, today we're going to look at question 36 on one of the previous Algebra Common Core Regencies. It's modeling a quadratic function. Um, the question goes with Alex launching a ball into the air, and they give us two variables on our axes that talk about time and the height of the ball. And the things they want us to find at the end of the question are to state the coordinates of the vertex, and they also want us to explain what the question means of that vertex in the context of the problem. So, one of the trickiest parts of this question was coming up with the scale for the graph. And I already have the equation placed into my graphing calculator over on the right. And going to the graph and table, I noticed that between 2 and 3, we get a height of 53. And clearly we don't have 53 spaces. So we had to adjust our scale so that we can fit those high numbers on our table. So what I decided to do was have every line count as 5. So every 2 lines, I'm going to put 10 more for my scale. I'm going to erase the line I put on the height. Now, you don't have to necessarily use the whole graph. However, if you can get to at least more than half the graph as you write a scale, that's a pretty good idea. Now, for the time, it says we only need to graph it from 0 to 5. And I have way more than 5 lines on my scale on the x-axis. So I'm going to do a little skip counting, and I'm going to spread out equally each of those values. Now I'm ready to plot the points. So looking over my graph, the first point is 0, 5. Then we have 137. And again, you just want to try to estimate the best as to where those numbers would fall. We got 253 and 353. Then we have 437 and 55. So now I'm going to kind of construct that graph. So we got our graph so far and our axes, which would usually earn us, in this case, probably 2 points with those two parts. Now we have to state the coordinates of the vertex. And it looks, based on our graph, that the vertex is going to be centered around the point, the x value of 2.5. So I'm going to test that theory, and what I will do is I'll get out of my calculator screen, my graph screen, and I'm going to type in 2.5 as my time value for t, and see what we get for the maximum height for our vertex. So I got -8, and I'll use parentheses, 2.5 squared plus 40, parentheses 2.5 again, plus 5. So that gives me a maximum height of 55. So the vertex has a time value of 2.5 with a height of 55. Now, that gives us our third point. For our fourth point, we got to explain the meaning of the context. Now, I'm going to go back to reference those, what's on the axes, the x and y axis. And x-axis talks about time, the y-axis talks about height. So, in the context of this question, the vertex would mean at 2.5 seconds, the object, or in this case the ball, reaches a height of 55. And they don't give us feet or anything. In this case, they say units. So, for the context, this will suffice. And you want to focus on what the numbers actually represent. So we get 2 points for the graph, 1 point for the vertex, and then the final point for explaining the meaning of the problem. Hope this helped, and good luck on the Regents.